Hello, everyone, people of the world, people of Africa, throughout the diaspora, on the continent, wherever you find yourself, we greet you. We give you our greetings and our blessings. Today, we're here to talk about the attempted destabilization of Mali that was announced by the Minister of Security on the national television of Mali. We took our time, so we don't operate on rumors. Of course, we know that there was something. Yes, the French media, well, the French puppets came out and made some announcement, but we will get into that. We'll analyze a lot of stuff. We've waited for more information to come out, and we will dive deeper into this conspiracy and what does it mean going forward, and how stuff like this will can be prevented, and of course stuff like this will continue happening. The the imperialists will not stop. They will continue to do the same thing over and over. So among the arrested, of course, I start with the glaring obvious, as mentioned by the Minister of Security on state television, was alleged to be a French Secret Service agent, Mr. Yan Christian. And some more information that we got on him is that, yes, he's serving the information that we're yet to confirm still, but yes, they're saying that he served in the French military, I think from 2001 up to 2023 or 2021, but that's neither here or there. But the reports from Mali State Television is that he came into Mali under the guise of being a diplomat. We've seen that trick before, even recently in Burkina Faso. He came as a cover as a diplomat, and his goal, his mission, would say, was to recruit, was to oversee the put in action the destabilization of Mali, destabilization of institution and the government. But one of the things are being put have been reported is that this same guy was going around to Bamako to gauge the opinion of citizen authorities around Bamako, their opinion of the Malian transition. And we talk about that these people like to, when you see these people traveling around your country, they're not traveling around your country because they love you, especially when they're officials and so forth. They're gauging the atmosphere of your country. They're trying to, you know, put out their plan. So we're happy that the Malian Secret Service followed him. You know, they had him in sight the whole time. And one of one of the person that was recruited was Abbas Dembele. He's a general of a brigade, or brigadier general, I think. Abbas Dembele, and Nima, also a general as well. As a matter of fact, she is one of the top female general that was promoted by the CNSP president, as general of the army, Assimi Goita. So this is somebody who you promoted, you recognize their hard work and so forth, and to show how crazy this is, when we go further, you will see the destabilization plan that they had for Mali. Because this wasn't just a coup d'etat they were trying to pull off. The French knows that a coup d'etat against a popular revolutionary leader in today's day is very difficult. So they go for more destabilization. Yes, these not so smart generals and military personnel, these colonels that were caught, don't understand that you cannot pull off a coup d'etat in this atmosphere with the power of the Malian army. This is not the Malian army. This is not the Burkinabe army of 3 years ago. If a lot of us follow the equipments that these governments are importing, not just drones that they buy from Turkey. Mali have probably fourth generation fighter jets. How are you gonna pull off a coup d'etat like that? But that's we get into that. And France, one of the things that we found out is that yes, arrests of I think Nima Segara, the female general, her arrest was around a the 7th of August. And France announced the arrest, and then a lot of African pages and these influencers pick it up, which I will get to in a bit, and see the psychological warfare that they were playing on a lot of us. They announced the arrest of tens of soldiers. I think the first number they came with was 50, then it's 40, then it's 20, just to cause confusion. But one thing in particular, the general Abbas Dembele was not arrested not until the 10th of August. And France reported his arrest, that he was arrested on the 7th or the 9th of October, which means that the French knew that their plan had failed. So they threw him under the bus. And this is the cynicism of these plans. These people are being used as just waste. They can be discarded anyhow. They are just tools. Some information. Well, this one is not verified, but this is just talk. We try to do a little bit of research. A lot of the colonels and so forth that were arrested in this destabilization plan, a lot of them were trained by France. One colonel in particular, I won't mention his name, he was in France recently, came back to Mali, divorced his wife, and was trying to move his children out of Mali while trying to destabilize Mali. If you're not confident in your plan that it will be successful, why are you going along with the plan, and why are you moving your children to a to outside of Mali? Because they know what they would do. Some of them know what they would do will cause a lot of blood, a lot of fighting and so forth. It will cause a lot of problem. But they were trained in France, and this is in particular where a lot of, whether it's future revolutionary and current revolutionaries in Africa, you have to look at this. When soldiers are trained by a lot of these imperialist power, number one, their mind are shaped. Their mind are shaped not to serve their country, not to be patriotic to their country, not to put their country first. In some cases, they are trained to be loyal to the colonizers. As a matter of fact, in the military, a lot of soldiers are a lot of these the way a lot of these military are structured in Africa. A lot of these soldiers are trained to be loyal to a certain faction of the military. You will find out that, I'll give you an example. There were some people who were caught, I think, in 2024, some commandos who were caught in Niger by the Nigerian authority. They were actually Burkinabe soldiers or ex-soldiers who were caught in Niger by the Nigerian intelligence. And one of the reasons given by one of the soldiers who were caught is that he respected his commander. He respected the guy who trained him. So you respect the guy so much that you decide to betray your own country. You're more loyal to a person than your own land. You see the mindset of a lot of African military. And this is where a lot of freedom fighters made the mistake. A lot of our first revolutionary leaders, Kwame Nkrumah, he inherited a military structure. All these generals that were promoted or so forth that was in the military, these are the same people who overthrew him because their loyalty was never to the homeland. If you get where I'm trying to go, they will be easily manipulated by the imperialists. As you know now, the reports have come out that the CIA themselves facilitated the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah. Because to go further with that, when they're trained, developed by these imperialist power, the imperialist has a profile of all these military personnel that can be manipulated. So they know who to contact to cause destabilization, to overthrow a government. They have the profile, they have your mentality, they have your mindset. They know what can bribe you. They know what you want. Maybe it's money, maybe it's power. Maybe you see yourself not as a Malian, not as a Ghanaian. You see yourself more as a Frenchman. You see yourself more as a Westerner. You want to be Western. So they know the profile of you. They know your profile. So they know who to contact. So this is why they can slip in a lot of time and overthrow a government, and then the leader themselves, they don't know what happened. Because in a lot of these military, it's not the professionalism that leads, it's loyalty to the imperialists. President Traore mentioned that when they took over and then they started to refuse the French order, a lot of the soldiers were contacted and said, "Now is your time to serve France. This is what you were trained for. So it's time to make a move." So this is for a lot of us going forward in the future. We have to realize that no more should African soldiers be trained by these people because we know it's nothing good. If, as a matter of fact, most Malian soldiers were trained by the French, by the Westerners, and yet still they couldn't hold their country. Yes, these are brave soldiers. I'm not. I don't want to denigrate the lives of these people past, these brave patriots who passed, but still, the training they probably received was not sufficient. And we know that the imperialists, are backing the mercenaries who are attacking. So they will give the mercenaries information on the tactics that you will use because they provided the tactics for you, for us. But still, um, that is what it is. And let's get back to this guy who was arrested. We can be mad at him all we want, but he served his country, serve his empire. His empire is in threat. He was sent on a mission. He did so bravely. We're happy that he's caught, but he was sent to destabilize the country. And let's look at something. Earlier, I mentioned that a coup d'etat will be difficult. They know that. Carrying out a coup d'etat in Mali it will be so difficult against any of the AES states. Because if you try to carry out a coup d'etat against one, number one, not all of the military will agree. Because now that the soldiers are being trained by their own, they're being trained with strong ideological, uh, patriotic ideology. So they're being more loyal to their country. That is why they're on the front line fighting for their country. So if some misguided soldiers want to, or general, whatever they want to call themselves, want to carry out a coup d'etat, not only will you be resisted by your own, by the military itself, but the other two military will intervene, so you won't succeed. And judging from the information that we've gotten, is that the whole point was never to carry out, let's say, a coup d'etat that we know of, something where you just go kidnap the president, overthrow him, and so forth. What they want is to liquidate the president, number one. But before they do that, they want to cause confusion. So they themselves, and a lot of we found out that this destabilization attempt, and I refuse to use the word coup d'etat in this case, because this is not just a coup d'etat. This is trying to destroy the institution of the country to cause chaos. Mer- Mercenaries would participate. And I noticed something. It is said that this coup d'etat was supposed to take place on the 15th of August. But in recent months, there's been like intensity of attack, which means that a lot of these soldiers probably was arrested, was coordinating with these rebels or mercenaries to attack cities. You saw a lot of failed attacks in a lot of cities in Mali, especially. And then coupled with that, there was a lot of propaganda, especially targeting the Malian president, Assimi Goita. I remember watching a, I think it was a Kenyan guy on TikTok. One of the thing he said, I wish I downloaded this video. One of the thing he said, and this is where we have to be careful of people we listen online, because the manipulation is so intense. This is what I do. This I scroll through TikTok, YouTube, wherever I scroll through this place, and you can see that even the algorithm is pushing a lot of this propaganda. So you have to be careful. But one of the thing he was saying, and then I knew that something was being prepared against Mali, is that Assimi Goita is becoming a dictator. We thought he was like Ibrahim Traore. He's not like Ibrahim Traore is doing XYZ, but Assimi Goita is becoming a dictator. He dissolved political party and so forth. So you can see that they're trying to shape our opinion against the Malian government, in this case, Assimi Goita. And they tried it with Burkina Faso, but because Ibrahim Traore is so popular, that route of demonizing him did not work. But they thought they could pick off Assimi Goita. So you see the whole thing. Even though they know that maybe the destabilization attempt failed, but they're trying to put us against these revolutionaries. That maybe all this chaos is because X, Y, and Z, not because of the imperialists trying to destabilize the Pan African revolution in the Sahel. So we have to be careful. We have to immunize ourselves against these things, and it's very difficult. It's not everybody that has the intellectual fitness. And you notice I use the word fitness. With me, it can be developed. You just have to, do this thing over and over again to find the propaganda that these people use. And this is our job. This is my job, I like to say. This is my job to expose all these things. Because Thomas Sankara said imperialism is a bad student. They will do the same thing over and over. But I think that a lot of us are not only bad students, but we have a hard time learning. Let's put it that way. Which moved me to the second point of this video. We can blame the French, we can blame the imperialists, we can blame the neo-colonialists all we want. But when they're carrying out their agendas, it's Africans, it's people within the society that they use, first and foremost. These generals, yes, they had the profile. How did they know that these generals, how did they know that these people are who we can approach? Do you just imagine a colonel, say some military guy from Burkina, from Ghana, from Zimbabwe, Tunisia, somewhere, go to France, convince two French general, a bunch of captains, colonels, to overthrow their government. I'm sorry, you will think it's April 1st. And it's April Fools. I have to say in Jamaica, it's Storm Fool Day. You would think somebody's playing a prank on you. If the French media announce, if the French media announce that some guy from Burkina Faso, some guy from Mali, some guy from Senegal, some man from somewhere in Africa convince two French generals, a bunch of captain and colonels to overthrow their government. Not only overthrow their government, but to destabilize France. That they know will cause a lot of loss of life, a lot of damage. The question is, how can we immunize ourselves? Number one, I recommend that in the AES, the ultimate punishment should be put on the table just to deter a lot of people. The ultimate punishment need, if you know that, especially, you're not only trying to put somebody out of the way, you're you're trying to move, as they said, one I think a colonel did, he's trying to move his children, divorce his wife, so he doesn't even care about the wife. He's trying to move his children out of Mali because he know there will probably be mass unaliving, mass chaos in the country. And we recommend that the training, ideological training, a lot of military, a lot of our, not just military, but our citizens, because there were a lot of civilians too, and I will get to that, and politicians as well, and we will get to that. And I spoke about the video earlier about the guy was mentioning that he spoke about one former prime minister who was arrested, and I believe, even though it's not been confirmed, that he was implicated, and that's part of the reason why he was arrested. But my gosh, the ideological training need to improve. Like, we need to train people to love their homeland, to be Pan-African, to love being African. There's everywhere there's gonna be traders. People can be bribed for with anything. But when you're on the ground and you see the struggle of your own personnel, I'm sure this general probably had people who worked under him, who served under his command, lost their life. Families lost their breadwinner. Family lost their only son. These two generals, this lady and this guy. And you betray your country for what? When you see that the whole of Africa, the whole African world, the whole black world is looking at Mali with pride. They're looking at Mali with, we're saying, yes, this is what we've never seen this, like, especially my generation. We've never seen this. And you want to come and pull a Blaise Compaoré. You want to pull a Mobutu. We're happy that this guy was these guys were caught. And bravo to the AES, to the AES intelligence, because another thing in the report is that the three AES countries work together. And I believe that there are countries outside of the AES, their intelligence work with the AES to forward this plan. Because a lot of countries understand. They might not come out and say it. I can tell you at least 3 or 4 countries that borders, of course, Cote d'Ivoire and Benin, they don't care, and Nigeria, they don't care. But even in those countries, there are people in those countries who does not agree with these imperialist puppet, and they understand that if these countries fail, then the whole of West Africa is done. So ideological training is key, and the military. And I think this has happened because one of the things that the French did, that one of the things that happened during this destabilization, they didn't just get traitors from one section of the military. This is why there were so many colonels. They were picking from everywhere. So they're trying to cause chaos, mass confusion. That is why they rush to announce the arrest, because they know their plan has failed. So they are still moving forward. They're trying to cause mass panic. Oh my gosh. All these people are being arrested, then I am gonna be arrested too. Because they know they've trained a lot of African militaries to be loyal, not to their country per se, but to be loyal to a group, to people, to France, to people. So they're saying they think that they thought that a lot of colonels, a lot of commandos will rebel against the transition. And they need to get rid of this transition thing. Transition to what? You need to dismantle the whole imperialist colonial system in man. But we're happy it failed because a lot of these military leaders, they're patriots, they've been on the ground fighting. They failed. They had the strong ideological training. So another thing that was mentioned in one of the reports by Malian State Television was that there were civilians and politicians implicated in this destabilization attempt. There were a lot of politicians who run away from Mali. And it seems like all these traitors, they love Cote d'Ivoire. They love to travel to Cote d'Ivoire. Most of the destabilization attempt of the AES seems to come to Cote d'Ivoire. This man and his rebels in Cote d'Ivoire seems to be a menace to the people of West Africa and Africa as a whole. And one of the information we are getting, so this wasn't in the report, but one of the information we are getting is that there were mercenaries on the Ivorian border waiting to intervene, to assist in the chaos. And yes, politicians were arrested. But I want to take you guys back to something. The president of the transition, Assimi Goita, made a statement. He said one of his main goals is to fight corruption. And there are investigations going on. And even if his parent, one of his parent, his child, any of his children is implicated in this corruption scheme, in any of this corruption, he will not intervene. And I have followed, and this is my opinion, this is my analysis of what I see. I could be wrong, of what I see. All of a sudden, well, you can see that there was a PR game being played by that former prime minister who was arrested. Maybe I cut his name out this video. A lot of speeches, start to attend a lot of events. I don't know how he did that when you should be working. You just every day is just events, peace, speeches, speech. But anyway, and he had to be fired when at least when he was being when he got fired, he could have resigned. But no, he wanted to stay there and demonize the leader. And I believe a lot of people, because Mali was free for all before that. A lot of people will be implicated in a lot of corruption, and a lot of them they will rather they rather destroy the country because they know what is coming. They know what is coming. And yes, even another prime minister was mentioned. Was arrested. Another former prime minister was arrested. Even after the destabilization plan failed, the original destabilization plan failed, the imperialists wanted to mobilize politicians against the transition. That's while they're trying to cause confusion in the military. They're trying to cause huge mass protests. But I think these people just don't understand. The people of Mali have seen it all. At least the majority have seen it all. They understand the games you're playing. And I can guarantee and tell you now, judging by what I see the media, the Western media, the so-called influencers online are doing. They're preparing something against Burkina Faso and Niger as I speak. The rebel in chief wants to do dialogue with the AES. Didn't Mali caught 46 of your soldiers in Mali trying to destabilize Mali? So you're telling me you, a old dog, that cannot learn new tricks. You have learned new tricks. We should think a old dog that can barely walk, that can't see properly, that when it barks, it's probably dust coming out from his throat. You learn some new trick to have dialogue with the AES. It's not possible. And then he left for France. I think 2 or 3 days before the coup should happen. Hey, may I tell her, may I tell her, may I tell her. Hey, the nonsense. But I believe one of a brother of mine made a video and he said a dying horse kick the hardest when it's dying, and if you're not careful it could take you down with it. And we think what is happening is a dying horse kicking. They will pull out all that you've tried the same thing in Burkina. You come and try it in Mali. How stupid do you think people is? But they will try their trick again, ladies and gentlemen. So uh I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for joining us. We salute people of the AES. We salute all. We salute all of our African brothers and sisters, whether you're on the continent, whether you're in the diaspora, that are making an effort for the betterment of this world, of African people, because we have suffered. We've continued to suffer. It's time that we come together. We'll always have differences. Come together in a global Pan African movement Doesn't have to be homogeneous. People have different ideas, different ways of doing things. But at the end of the day, the journey, the destination is freedom for African people, especially, and the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.